How we doing, traders? Welcome to the SPACs attack, baby. How we doing today? I'm Mitch Hoch. I'm here with my man Chris Katje, the brain of the show, and boy, do we got a show for you guys today. I know everyone's been watching, the Chamath SPACs. I mean, how could you not watch these? I mean, they've been either rocketing straight up, holding at the bottom. Investors watching every single news that comes out of this. So, Chris, I know you're excited about this show. How you doing today, Chris?
I'm doing good. I mean, I wish some of these SPACs that I own were trading higher, but I seeing a lot of red out there.
Yeah, one of the things is you're going to have the waves in SPACs. I think we talk about this often. You have that kind of that up wave, and then you kind of have the pullback waves. These are going to be times to really look at which one you're really thinking about getting into. I think these are the times when you need to start developing that, and also, like we say, diversify. It's not just about having just one of these. I think you're always going to do better if you diversify your play in these. Try to maybe grab a couple of these, and then you have a better shot of one of them really getting that lift. All right, Chris. So I definitely want to get into the stocks today, but want to give a shout out. I know we had some people early, so a shout out to Devin, James, JJ, in here talking nice and early in the chat. This is what we like to see, guys. At the end of the day, guys, help each other out. If you guys see a stock or you guys are trading something right now, let people know. We can always work off of each other's information to make better informed trades. All right, Chris, I'll let you go ahead and get into these headlines here. So take us back, man. All right, Chris, what's out there?
All right, guys. So not a lot of headlines going on other than SPACs are mostly trading lower. So we did have an approved deal announced last night. GMHI merging with Luminar. This is a LiDAR company we've been talking about on here all week. That deal was approved, and it will begin trading under the new symbol LAZR or laser as early as today. Then we also have a rumored deal. So THCA, Tuscan Holdings 2, which is in talks to bring digital freight startup Transfix to the markets, according to a rumor from Bloomberg. Bloomberg's been pretty on top of these deals. Again, sometimes they're a little early before they work out. This is one to look into. I'm going to try to find more information on this Transfix company and kind of see what they're all about. But you did have shares trading higher yesterday on that rumored news. Fisker, FSR, one of our favorites here to talk about. They announced yesterday that they hit 10,000 reservations. That was coming from a tweet by Henrik Fisker, the leader of that company. So that's another key milestone that they hit as they try to build out their electric vehicle. We also talked about how they're adding social media influencers and, looking at bumping up those reservations going forward as they work on production of that car. So I think this was a key milestone, and I look forward to hearing more numbers from them going forward. Tattooed Chef, former SPAC, symbol TTCF. They announced that they're holding an analyst day on December 15th. I think this is key. This is one that was hit by a short report. You're going to get a deeper look into financials and some future growth opportunities kind of laid out on the table by this company. They've been criticized for not being in enough stores, for spending a lot of money on that partnership in a big box retailer. I'm really looking forward to hear if they have any new partners to announce, any preliminary numbers from Target, Costco, Sam's Club, any of those stores. This is one I've been saying, I like here on the dips. And I think there could be a buying opportunity going into that analyst day event, as I think that will be a major catalyst for the company.
Yeah, Chris, just to jump in here on that tattoo chef, I'm liking the chart.
Yeah.
One thing I'm starting to see is a nice bottoming action. We broke through this support here at the 16. I need to see a nice big volume bar. That's what we want to see down here. Where can we finally start finding that hold? And one of the best things is this is a common thing that I see. After the merger, that pullback, and then investors find where they want to price this at. So definitely keep an eye on this one.
Yeah, and that was one I think, may have just been too hot to begin with. Plant-based food, kind of, there. And it just, it may have run up too much. And I think you are seeing pricing levels here that are more attractive. It's one I've never traded in, but I'm, thinking of opening a position going into this analyst day. So thanks for the comment there, Chase. Yeah, definitely take a look at Tattooed Chef at these levels. Next up on headlines, we have Virgin Galactic, so symbol SPCE, which we're going to dive into more in the middle segment. But they announced their flight window is open, and they're seeking December 11th as the date for a test flight from New Mexico. So this is a major catalyst for this company. We also talked about how they landed a NASA deal yesterday. So they're trying to take tourists to space. They had to pass a whole bunch of regulations with the FAA. They have now met those, and they're looking at that test flight. If that's successful, they're going to be able to, they're going to send up their leader, Richard Branson, first, beginning in 2021, and they're going to be able to get this kind of going, which is what the company is all about as far as revenue, is they have to get those flights going to take passengers up. So this is one I think is attractive here going into that major catalyst on the 11th. One report I saw yesterday, a report from Eilers and Krejci Gaming that said lottery sales were up 22% year over year in the third quarter, and instant tickets were up 29% in the same period. They attributed it a little bit to the stimulus, and then online lottery sales also being higher due to the pandemic and everyone being at home. So I think this is good for two companies we've talked about. So the first is TDAC, Trident Acquisition Corp. They're merging with Lottery.com in a SPAC deal. So shares are trading around 1173 when I wrote these notes. Lottery.com, I think, is an attractive play here. And I think those numbers bode in their favor. So they're going to be able to see higher lottery sales online. This is a growing market. The pandemic has pushed that growth forward. And the trends from this, gaming industry experts say that, the third quarter was strong. So we might get a new updated financial release from the company ahead of that merger that shows some prelim numbers. And then we talked about an IPO, Neo Games, symbol NGMS. That company has online lottery deals in several states. So they are another company that could benefit from this trend of people not only buying more lottery tickets during the pandemic and with stimulus money, but also the trend is now pushing to online sales of those lottery tickets, which is in their favor. I saw a question in the chat already about NGA. So NGA is merging with Lion Electric. This is one of my favorites. This is a SPAC I currently own. This one we were waiting on for a while. It was rumored for over a month. I do see circulating on Twitter people translating from a French press release that Lion Electric is presenting on December 8th with the Quebec department. So it looks like we might get some news or maybe a new partner announced or a deal for more electric buses or vans in Canada. So again, I'm trying to find the details, make sure that's correct. But from everything I'm seeing, December 8th could be a catalyst for that company. And then I want to remind everyone, so Trine, TRNE, this is one of my favorites going forward. Thinking about opening a position here. They're voting on that merger with Desktop Metal on December 8th. So that is next week. This is one I think is going to get support leading into the vote, and then also could get some immediate analyst coverage and fund additions due to its place in a disruptive market. So I think that's something to look forward to. And I think, at these levels, it might be worth taking a stab at. And then the last headline I have here, one of our favorites on the show, one of Mitch's favorites, FuboTV. So they announced the acquisition of Balto Sports last night, which is a sports betting company. This is going to help kind of get their entry into sports betting, which we talked about on the show. So they're a streaming play, a sports streaming play. They want to hit that sports betting market that is growing like crazy. They think this was their first step. They did not announce an acquisition price, and they haven't announced details, but they did say details are coming. And I think that's a major catalyst when they actually get out ahead and they say what this acquisition was all about and how they're going to enter that sports betting market. I think shares could continue to push higher. So what do you think about that acquisition and Fubo here, Mitch?
Well, it's definitely an interesting one. If you guys watched the pre-market prep show I actually was talking about this one near the 11 price point. And what I saw there was an offering right beforehand, one day before. The director then did an inside buy. And then what that did was just pretty much gave me a little bit of a price point and some support underneath. Once we got this stock going, it really started rocketing out. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the chart here. This is when I saw it back in this 11 price point, and then it really started rocketing out here. I even noticed yesterday, I mean, I felt like it got too extended. I felt like we needed a catalyst to keep this one driving. I even mentioned on the At the Close show that possibly I would be ringing the bell up here, because a lot of times, when you get a move like this, a nice breakout like this, a lot of times you're going to get a pullback. The only thing that can usually keep stocks trending is going to be what? It's going to be new catalyst. So you're definitely seeing a new catalyst play here in Fubu. I think it's interesting. I think Chris mentioned that that this could actually possibly happen. And this is why we do it for this show, you guys, is we try to bring you the information and try to bring you the information that can make an informed trade. So if we look here, now we're going to be kind of stuck here at this 29 range. I think we need to really see a strong push through 30 to see if Fubu is going to continue. But to think that this company is getting into gambling, it just comes to show you that how gambling is really going to take off. I mean, we had a whole show towards it. So I'm definitely interested. If you guys, if you didn't go ahead and see that show, definitely check it out, guys. We covered it with Will Hershey. He has an ETF that's on this. It's called BETZ, BETZ. So definitely check it out, guys. We had a whole show on this. So let's go ahead, and I want to get into some of the SPACs today. So I'm going to bring Chris back on here. Well, let's go ahead and get into what we came here today, guys, is to talk really about Chamath. So I'll let Chris take over here. Looks like we might have lost Chris, so I'm going to go ahead and take over here and be the man.
All right,
here.
So today we're going to hit on
we
some
got
SPACs.
him. We'll bring him back in here.
Sorry, lost me there for a sec. So yeah, let's dive into the quote unquote SPAC king. So Chamath Palihapitiya. So he now has launched 6 SPACs. One of those is closed, 2 are pending, and then he had 3 recent SPACs as well. So we've talked before, he's planning to bring SPACs to the market, IPO all the way to IPOZ. Along with his own 6 SPACs, he was also part of the PIPEs on Trine, TRNE, and MP Materials, which are 2 we've also talked about on this show. Before SPACs, Chamath was a former Facebook member, one of the first team members there. He was also an investor and a board member of Slack, which we know got acquired yesterday. And then he's also a Tesla bull. This guy seems to know what the hot markets are and where the trends are going forward. So I think it's worth taking a look at how his first 3 SPACs played out and then what's ahead for these next 3. So the first one we're going to talk about is now SPCE, so Virgin Galactic. This was his first SPAC, so IPOA, which then became Virgin Galactic. So again, as we talked, they're planning on taking tourists to space, started by Richard Branson. Shares are up over 100% in 2020 and now have a $6.6 billion valuation. So I see a couple catalysts with the upcoming flight launch December 11th that we talked about, and then also that NASA deal. I think the space exploration industry is getting hot. Space tourism is getting hot. And then also they're a small player in the potential supersonic air industry, which could be something worth watching going forward too. So that was his first SPAC, and that one's all closed. And then up next, we had IPOB. So this is a current SPAC that's merging with Open Door. December 17th is the vote date. This is a company seeking to disrupt the housing resale market. Shares are trading much higher than that offering price. And the thing I like about this SPAC is that Cathie Wood from the ARK ETFs, she's not only buying shares of IPOB ahead of the merger date, but she's also selling Zillow shares to do so. So she's showing a possible preference over that open door competitor in Zillow. So it looks like she likes the growth idea from Open Door better. So I think that's worth watching. And again, with the December 17th date, I think this is one, to watch with that catalyst coming. We could see shares trade off after that deal goes through because it is trading higher and people may take profits. But I'm looking forward to seeing kind of how the pricing plays out once the deal goes through. And then the third SPAC from Chamath was IPOC. So they're merging with Clover Health. So this is the one out of the first three that the market hasn't responded as favorably to. So shares are at 10.19, and we've even seen them drop below 10 since the announcement of the deal going through. So Clover Health is a company in the Medicare plan market, currently in 34 counties, with plans to be in 108 counties by next year. In its established markets, it's got top 3 market share, around 8%, over 57,000 members. So in 2019, the company had revenue of $457 million. They see that hitting long-term $25 billion. But in the short term, revenue in 2021, they see hitting $880 million and then $1.72 billion by 2023. So those were his first 3 SPACs. And again, one went through, and then we have 2 pending. So we have a vote coming up December 17th. And then we have IPOC, which has not announced a date, but will most likely be in the first quarter.
Yeah, I have the chart here. Just to jump in here, Chris. I have the chart
Yeah,
of
go ahead.
IPOC pulled up. I'm liking this. It's starting to do what I always look for, guys. It did have those runs. You can see these runs kind of beforehand, and then we kind of had that dip where we actually broke the $10 price point, and now it's been, it got below it for I think about 10 cents here, and now we're starting to get back above it. And what I'm liking is that you had like kind of this volume to bring it out of that spot, and then you're getting this pullback, and you're getting multiple days where it's starting to go sideways and not head down. That's exactly what I'm looking for as an investor in SPACs. I want to see these get above the $10 price point and start to go sideways, because sideways gives me that sleepy look, and then investors can just step in and just start driving this back up here. So I'm definitely going to keep an eye on this one. I might be looking to take a position in this one, maybe later today. I'll definitely take a look at this one.
Yeah, and I think one of the things we've talked about on the show is, you try to pay attention to the rumors before these deals are announced, because once the deal's announced, shares run up. So then one of the places investors seem to be looking now is SPACs that are trading between 10 and 11. So either companies that haven't announced a deal or companies that have announced a deal, because that $10 level is important because it provides, some safety there. So with this one trading that close to 10, I mean, you really have limited downside, and then you have all the possible upside. You have the upside coming from them announcing the merger date. You have the upside coming from them, announcing that the deal has closed. Then you have it trading under the new symbol. You have Chamath going on CNBC to talk about this one again, possibly. Again, this one just was not loved by the market. It's in the Medicare market, which, let's face it, is a potential Biden play. Going forward, this one could be in that growing market. They just need to scale across the US because they are small right now. But you see those huge revenue numbers. So IPOC at these levels, I definitely like. So then next, we're going to dive into the 3 newest SPACs from Chamath. So as we said on the show, all 3 of these now have separated from units and now trade as common shares and warrants. So more people can get into these, and they're going to get some more attention. So all 3 of these, so it's going to be symbols IPOD, IPOE, and IPOF. They all are targeting the technology market, and they all have the same team attached to them, with the exception being each one has one additional team member. So I think those team members are keys here, as we kind of look, at the experience and what company they may acquire. So IPOD raised $400 million. That was up from a $350 million originally planned offering. So their additional team member is Mr. Nirav Tolier. So he was the CEO and co-founder of Nextdoor. He was there from 2009 to 2018, and he helped the company raise over $250 million, and they currently have a $1.5 billion valuation, and they are in talks of going public via IPO. He also worked at Benchmark and Shopping.com. He was also the CEO and co-founder of ePinions and one of the earliest employees of Yahoo. So here you have a new SPAC trading below $11 with Chamath, and then it also has that key guy, who has experience leading a company and working at some of those early tech companies. The next SPAC is IPOE. So they raised $700 million, which again was up from a previously announced $650 million offering. So their extra team member is Jay Parikh. He was the head of engineering at Facebook for 6 years and also served as the vice president of infrastructure at Facebook for several years. Again, we know Chamath was an early Facebook team member, so they have some history there, which is why I like to think that they brought him along. He also worked for Ning Inc. and Akami Technologies. He currently serves on the board of directors of Atlassian since 2013. So this SPAC's trading around 1060. I think this is key, having that former Facebook engineer, which may mean that we see kind of them, leading into the software side of things, or the semiconductor, a chip company. So that's one worth looking at. And then the last one, IPOF. So this was the big one. They raised $1 billion. And the extra team member here is Richard Castallo. He is the former CEO of Twitter, where he was at from 2010 to 2015. He's the co-managing partner of OI Advisors Venture Group right now. And he was the founder of FeedBurner, which was a company acquired by Google back in 2007. So this SPAC's currently trading the lowest of the three. Again, raised $1 billion. So similar kind of to the Bill Ackman SPAC, PSTH, that we talk about. They are going to go after a larger company, a possible unicorn. So it surprises me a little bit that this one is trading the lowest of the three, and with having the former CEO of Twitter attached to it. So we've talked, one of the strategies with SPACs is investing in the people behind them. So Chamath has a proven track record with his 3 previous SPACs. And then each of these new SPACs, I think, is attractive here, especially the 2 trading under the $11 price point. So what are your thoughts kind of on these, Mitch, and what do those charts look like, in these first early days of trading as common shares?
Yeah, one thing we did mention is always look at the board. I mean, at first, you're not going to know what they're going to get into, right? So the only thing you can know is the board at first. And like you mentioned, I think each one of those extras are very important. I'm looking at the chart, and I think, one thing you're seeing is definitely some people taking some snippets here near $10 in just about each one. If you look at them, and one of the things you need to do here now is look when you can get it cheap. Like we brought on an arbitrage ETF that tries to get these underneath that $10. There's a reason why they do that, guys. And so one of the things that I would really start looking at is, when do these give me that chance to get as nearest to 10, if not underneath 10? Because when we get to that $10 level, what I think happens here, at least for me in SPACs, is that I'm at least able to define risk. And this is so important whenever you're trading. If you can't define your risk, then you're essentially what everyone calls a gambler in trading. And you don't want to be a gambler. You want to go ahead and try to define where your risk and reward potential can be. I think, one of the things that I've done is I started taking some data and looking at these patterns. And a lot of the times, you get this announcement spike. You get this, I'll pull it up on the chart. You get this announcement spike here, and then you get a pullback. Let me pull up a chart so that you can see kind of the whole kind of how a lot of it works. A lot of the times whenever a stock gets that merger down, they find a nice price point, they raise it up, and then they also sell it. And so one of the things that you need to understand with SPACs is that there's always going to be kind of this reward and kind of these waves that you need to understand. It's not just at least in my perspective, it's not just a hold for 5 years outlook. You're trying to make a quick return on these, and then you can figure out if this is the company that you feel is actually going to profit in the long run. We are going to find that some of these companies do have a long-term outlook, and then you're going to find that some of these companies, they just probably bought the wrong company or are going to struggle to be profitable. And that's really the kind of the ups and downs with SPACs. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, no, those are all great points. I've bought into several of these SPACs, a couple pre-rumor, but mostly, after the fact, after those initial spikes or right when the deal's announced. But I think one of my new trends going forward is, really finding those names, closer to $10. It's all about kind of the risk appetite. I loved having Julian Klimachko from Accelerate Funds on the show to kind of talk about that risk reward opportunity. And, so now these two Chamath SPACs trading under 11. We saw the Virgin Group one VGAC trading under 11. That one started, shooting higher. I think people are starting to look around that 10 to 11 price point. And I really think it's attractive there. Some of these deals we've seen, they spike so high on the announcement. And then once the deal goes through, they trade off. People take those profits. So you don't want to get caught holding at the top there, waiting a couple of years for the growth to play out.
Yeah, I mean, we can take a look at our watch list really quickly on the day, and you see a lot of red. Whenever we're going to see this a lot of red here, we want to definitely be careful in these. You don't want to always get caught buying the high. We've talked about this plenty of times, guys. Like you can look at the SBE chart. Let me go ahead and pull that chart up a little bit here, and you can see it. They're going to have these peaks. So you have to wait for pullbacks, if not, then you need to be getting these a little bit earlier so that you can grab these before they give that rocket up move, and that's really where you're going to be, as if you're close to 10, look at Fisker when it opened up. Fisker, popped that first day. It went over $10 and then it was like trading underneath this $10 price point. You could have risked maybe a point to maybe get a nice $10 gainer. And I'm not saying that you're always going to get these. And definitely, guys, you're not always going to get 100% returns. But one of the things you can do is understand how you want to approach these. Do I want to get like maybe a 4-to-1 return, a 3-to-1 return? So what that means is that I'm going to risk, let's say, 10 cents for a 30-cent gainer, or I'm going to risk $1 to try to make $3 or $4 on that one trade. I think this is very important. I always recommend this as a trader. You always need to understand your out plan, and as an investor, you also need to understand your out plan, because there's going to be times when these stocks just don't work out, and that's why I always say that diversification is very important in these. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and let's get into some of these stocks from our watch list. Does anyone have any stocks you guys want us to check out before we go ahead and get on out of here today? I'm going to go ahead and put some tickers in the chat, guys. Let's run through 1 or 2 or 3 of these before we get on out of here today. All right, guys, trying to catch up here with the chat here. Let's go ahead and see. Seeing a couple of stocks mentioned. Got Joel here talking about FST and SEH, both in at 983. To tell you the truth, I think the price point is looking good there. I mean, you're at least giving yourself an opportunity. And that's what I always talk about, guys. You got to give yourself an opportunity to make money. And it's all about a probability game. You're never going to be 100% right. You can only be I'm gonna let you know, like if you could even get up to 70% right or 80% right, that is out of this world. So a lot of traders are going to be what I call heads or tails kind of traders, where they're 50-50. So one of the things you want to do is just give yourself the probability to win. Let's go ahead and take a look right here at this SEAH. You're seeing it below this $10 price point. And one of the things that I want to see is when it gets above this $10 and holds that $10 and starts going sideways. So definitely, I think 983, you at least can understand your risk. Like, hey, the bottom here, 970, maybe I can risk down towards that level and understand the trade. All right, guys, let's go ahead and see if there's anything else here in the chat. Looking through here, I saw a switch point, but we already kind of touched that one a little bit here. I'm seeing LCA by my man Andrew. Want to give Andrew a shout out. He's always a definitely active listener here. So LCA here, let's go ahead and pull this up here. So what I'm seeing on this chart is just classic pullback. You're going to get runs, you're going to get pullbacks, and this is why you can't just always buy into the high. If you're buying into the high, more than likely you're going to get burnt. I mean, I can tell you that just from experience. Not always do you get a stock to just continue trending up. And I think that's what we're finding out here. Now, the real key is going to be where's it going to find support? Is it going to come down towards this 16 level, this $15 level? That's kind of the area that I'd be looking at this stock, see when it can come down to these levels and get some support, get some volume in. You definitely got to rip out from this right here, this level right here, this $18. That's when we started pushing on up. So see how it reacts at that 18. If we crack that 18, look for the next support kind of push. I always look for multiple layers of support and then wait for the investors to get in. All right, guys. Good tip, like always. Chase telling us don't chase. When the guy named Chase tells you not to chase, it might be the right move there. I like that one. I like that one, Chase. All right, so Johan talking about looking at Planet 13. I think that's the one right there, the PLNHF. Is that what? Let me look that one up right quick. Pretty sure that's what that one is.
I think that's what that ticker is.
Yep. It's the cannabis name.
Cannabis in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I can tell you right now, personal experience. This company it could do well in Vegas just because Vegas charges a hefty tax on cannabis. I can tell you that right now, and the reason why is they get the tourism. The tourism starts buying up. I see Vegas kind of like how it was when Denver first went. Kind of in that legal stage where everyone wanted to go to Denver. And then this is what you're seeing here. This company definitely knows how to push their margins. I can tell you that, at least from being inside of their stores. And we'll see how they do. The cannabis is definitely pushing with the UN descheduling, bringing it down with the WHO recommendation. I know you probably heard about that, Chris. What do you know about that?
Yeah, so I mean, cannabis stocks all look like they're going to trade higher on this news. I will say with Planet 13, I also know that they have some exclusive deals with Mike Tyson, who obviously was in the news with this fight this past weekend. He's getting in cannabis. They have some exclusive brands with him there. With Planet 13, it's all kind of about, are they just going to do the one store, or is there kind of, scalability? And with the cannabis stocks, so many of them trade OTC because they're not allowed to trade on the major exchanges. And then the other question is, have they all ran up too much? Was this news baked into the price, or is there, more opportunity there? Because, cannabis stocks have seen these spikes before, when different states legalize and they all spike up, and then some of them come crashing back down because you realize the revenue is not all there. So yeah, I think Planet 13, though, it's a strong brand in a strong state. Pandemic obviously has hurt Las Vegas, but when Las Vegas comes back, could be a major catalyst for this company.
All right, guys, pulling up here the THCB chart. We actually talked about this a little earlier. So if you want to know a little bit more about that one, I'd rewind. You definitely check out what Chris said at the beginning of the show. But, definitely seeing that chart hold there at that 11 price point. I think that's going to be the vital, the line in the sand, as I like to say. So definitely keep an eye on this one. I think we have a great question here. So I want to touch this question here. Do you like buying warrants stocks along with the SPACs? I think this is a great question to go ahead and go back and listen to the man that has the arbitrage ETF. And why would you want to do that, Chris?
So when we had Julian on, one of the things I really liked was when he talked about buying the units. And then, so like when the deal is announced or when that, the units trade higher above their net asset value, you sell them and you hold on to the warrants for the upside. So I think, that's a good opportunity to capture some future gains. And again, as Mitch and I have both talked about, then you're playing with the house's money. You've already made your profit. You have zero risk then. It's all about the upside. So I think warrants are attractive with the units. I'm not one to trade warrants by themselves as much because, it is high risk, high reward there. But I think they're becoming more attractive.
All right, got an interesting one here, and I think this is one that we've mentioned that we're kind of seeing the same thing. Cynthia here talking about PSTH and anyone seeing signs of possible merger with Stripe. Also mentioned by Max P here. Stripe a total winner. Hopes that Ackman gets a hold of it. I definitely think these online payment kind of, when you think about it, when you look at the chart of Square and you look at the chart of PayPal, I know I wish I had them back then. So if Stripe is going to be that target, I think definitely investors are going to keep a watch on that. So like always, guys, we try to bring you the most information in the SPAC game that you can get out there. So if you guys appreciate and getting value out of this, please let your friends know. Let everyone on Twitter know that we are the best SPAC show. We're here every single day. So if you guys need anything else or want to look at some more information, put it in the comments below. We take a look every single day so that before the show, we touch the stocks that you guys want. I'll let Chris go ahead and wrap it up here, and we'll see you guys next time on the SPACs Attack, right?
Yeah, so guys, in the comments, I actually saw this ticker mentioned a couple times, and we didn't bring it up. And the reason why is because we were saving it for the end. So APXT. So Mitch, if you want to pull up any of those comments, APXT, guys, I'm excited to say that we have the CEO of AvePoint on the show tomorrow. So you're going to get the inside deal on AvePoint, that company merging in the SPAC deal. They're a Microsoft Cloud partner. Stock is up since that deal was announced. Look at that chart. And this is one where I think, people want more information and they want to hear more about, their relationship with Microsoft, how the cloud business is progressing. So again, guys, tomorrow on the show, tune in 11 a.m. Eastern time. We'll be bringing on the CEO of AvePoint to talk about that SPAC deal and the future of the company. So as always, guys, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and we'll see you tomorrow.